Cougs, it's Lyrik Walker reporting to you for the first time from home. Although I am very excited to be back with all of you today, we're here to discuss a very serious matter. We're here to remember the father, brother, and the man loved by many, George Floyd, an unarmed black man who is another victim of police brutality. On behalf of CoogTV, we believe that it's important to use our platform to show our audience that we too seek change and are fed up with the injustices that the black community face on a daily basis. As a black female who comes from a black family, I too mourn with my community and the family because it could have very well been me or someone that I care about in George's place instead. These fatalities have certainly hit home, but a common realization made by many black citizens specifically is that something about this George Floyd murder case is different. It was yet another case of police brutality from a brown-skinned individual, but this was just the tip of the iceberg for not just the United States, but the world. George Floyd's death has reached an international level, which has led to protests and outrage from all over the world. People young, old, and of many different ethnicities have gathered and united in the streets to protest for the equality of black lives, even in the midst of a global pandemic, as we all may know, COVID-19. The response is truly remarkable. This past week in Houston, Texas, local rappers Bun B and Trey the Truth held a peaceful protest for our fellow Houstonian, George Floyd. Here's Daisy Espinoza with more information.
Thank you, Lyrik, and hello, Coog. Daisy Espinoza for UHNews. As Lyrik mentioned, protests are all around the world, and George Floyd's hometown was no exception. Houston demonstrated their solidarity, starting with two protests on May 30th and 31st. The third protest began at Discovery Green, where crowds reached 600,000 people on June 2nd. Protesters marched to City Hall along with Floyd's family shouting, "Say his name." The march was accompanied by horse-riding cowboys and cowgirls, known as the non-stop riders, who captivated the eyes of many protesters. Protest organizers and speakers addressed the crowds at City Hall, demanding change in law so that no person of color would suffer, quote, the pain that George Floyd had to deal with. I had a chance to witness the protest firsthand, and from my viewpoint, Houston never fails to come together as a community. On the other hand, the 4 police officers are now facing charges. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is now charged with second-degree murder. Meanwhile, the other 3 officers are charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder. We will continue to monitor this news as it unfolds. Back to you, Lyrik.
Thank you, Daisy. During this time, it is important to stay safe. So if you are out protesting, it's suggested that you wear protective gear such as masks, goggles, and bring plenty of water to stay hydrated. For those of you who choose to remain social distancing at home, there are plenty of other ways for you to get involved in the Black Lives Matter movement, which include donating to organizations or causes. You can also use your social media platforms to spread awareness about the situation. And most importantly, you can vote. Voting for local officials such as mayors, DAs, and others is just as important as voting for the presidential election. That being said, when it comes time to vote in November, we should all do our parts by participating and exercising our right to vote. With everything going on this year, voting may seem minuscule, but we must refrain from thinking that our individual votes won't hold much weight. Sometimes it's that one vote that will make all the difference in any election. Now, as for the future, well, only time can tell, but I feel very strongly that my generation, Gen Z, will be the change that the world needs to help break the cycle of police brutality. The response of the world would surely support my statement, and I want this to be the very last time that we lose another one of our brothers and sisters to one of these injustices, and we'll just keep fighting from there. Before I go, I would like to leave you with a small takeaway. We all bleed the same blood. All shades of black skin are beautiful, and our skin is not a weapon. Lastly, Black Lives Matter. If you'll all join me from your screens in saying his name, George Floyd. Please be on the lookout for future videos on YouTube using our tag CoogTV at UHNews. This has been your host, Lyrik Walker, and thank you for tuning in to another very special episode of At UHNews.